Oh my God, we're live. Whoa, wait a second. We're early. It's not quite time yet.
That's
Oh,
right. That's your early Christmas present, folks, is we're
yeah.
early this week.
Don't get spoiled. By the way, I know you're all going, where the hell is the Christmas curmudgeon, Badus Mickus? I guess we give him his Roman name.
I suppose, yeah, we should do Christmas names. Oh, let me see if I can fix my Christmas name here. That would be yes, I'll fix this. So, yes, I know it's an exciting time of year. Like Mike's on his way; he'll be here. Yes, I know they're all reeling. Oh my God, he's early! What the heck?
I have my schedule planned that you guys come in at 8:04. What the hell?
I don't understand. Well, it's a banner week this week. We got all sorts of stuff to talk about. Mike will be joining us as soon as he gets back to his lair.
His temporary lair. He's
temporary lair.
Yes, he's in a transition from one location to another.
He's been vacationing and enjoying it. I, on the other hand, am not vacationing. So that's
no.
I was gone, but I am back. I have returned. Got through some stuff, but a lot of interesting things going on. And perhaps my favorite is the new Scientology-ish kind of dictates that have gone out, and people are being told what to do by High Lord Zeno. I think this is exciting. I think this is
it's a new level of community building. That's what it is, right? It's community.
Sure,
building.
Let's go with community building because that's a great take on it. So where do we start? So I guess we start with some notoriety. Perhaps this person is best described as notoriety. Eric, you're not saying anything.
I'm just okay. Notoriety.
So, and Eric, you step in with some of the details, but essentially this week, followers of Zach. Is that an F? Are they the FOZ? Are we calling them the FOZ?
The FOZ.
The followers of Zach.
The Z Army.
The Z Army. Oh, I like that too. That's
the
good.
Z Army. Yeah, the Z Army.
But Zach, essentially dispatched the minions to go forth into social media, and essentially it comes down to him offering a copy of the compendium, isn't it? That if you want a copy of the compendium,
right?
Yes, the compendium is only going to be available if you jump through the myriad flaming hoops,
or you can send $1,000. $1,000 via Vimo to Zach, and he will get that right in the mail for you.
So you can either spend $1,000 or you may go forth onto whatever social media it is that you so desire.
Well, no. There's you don't get to pick and choose. This isn't one of those classic Chinese menus that you used to have when you go, I'll take one from column A and one from column B. No, it's sign up on Twitter and make 10 comments before Christmas. Sign up on Blue Sky and sign up on Reddit, sign up on this subreddit, Instagram, better like this one. Yes, you are a bot, effectively.
So again, there are some vaguely Scientology-ish kind of notions to this, right? So I actually was working at a Walden Books when the followers of Elrond would come in and buy every single one of his books in our store and then turn around and leave. And then, they were taking them somewhere and then they were all being, resold to the stores so that they could pump up the numbers on all the Elrond Hubbard books.
Jesus.
And the funniest story is that stores began actually marking them for when they had circulated through, and stores started seeing them come back, right? And so all of this is vaguely cultish, right? Okay, I'm going to open the proverbial can of worms. So every company has its aficionados, its followers, its enthusiasts, as we should say. And brand loyalty is is great to a point. And there's sort of a really fine line between loving something dearly and wanting to espouse it and speak of it and so on and so forth. But then you can go too far. And I think we could talk about what shades of too far are there, right? So I have spoken before that I used to work for Games Workshop. And one of the things that we ended up having around the office at Games Workshop is second edition 40K, which came with monopose, plastic, space marines, orcs, and goblins, or Gretchen. We invariably had damaged copies. And so you'd end up with the paper components. You'd send them to mail order. There was also a stock of the plastics in case somebody got a set that didn't have them. But there was always a ton of these around. And eventually, like, they start to get scuffed or whatever, and they start to throw these out. But you could salvage some of these. And I used to take these home, and on Halloween, if you came trick-or-treating to my apartment and you were the target age for entry point in the hobby, I would give you a few Space Marines in your Halloween bag.
Nice.
And that, I think, is a reasonable level of promoting something that I cared about. But at no point did I ever go out on the internet and beat a drum or make posts. And Eric and I were talking about this just before the show started, that one of the things about this that's so unseemly is the term is sock puppet, right? Where you get people to go espouse your opinions for you, or to rally your troops, or carry your water or whatnot. And carry water is another phrase that's very appropriate. And I think what we have to do is we have to recognize that you can be an enthusiast. Like I love the Dungeon Crawl Classics community. I have said this time and again. I love Troll Lord Games. I think they're great guys. I've said this time and again. But you don't see me going on social media and beating the drum that, by the way, DCC will save your life, # not a cult, or that Troll Lord Games is the only, like I have limits, right? And my social media,
yes.
Most of my social media is pretty wide open. I tend to have the same name everywhere. So if you look up Like the Room, you're going to find me on Twitter. You're going to find me you'll find me on Blue Sky. You will find me wherever. And truthfully, though, I think that's a real problem. I think we do have a problem in the industry because sock puppets are real. Yes. But this is the most blatant call for sock puppetry that I've seen in a long time. And truthfully, I think it is unseemly. That's the word I keep coming back to about this. This is unseemly. And it's a little interesting because it's a bit of a hostage, right? Like it's sort of, it's a Helsinki syndrome thing, right? Where you're trapped in the love of Zach, and to get the thing you want from Zach, you can either give Zach $1,000 for your e-meter reading. Oh, I'm sorry, for a copy of the compendium. Or you can, in fact, go forth and follow the many flaming hoops of social media requests that he has, and do these posts here and do these posts there, and then you get a copy of the compendium. Well, by the time you go through all these hoops, number one, you're going to be blocked by anybody who sees this. And number two, is a copy of the compendium worth whatever shreds of dignity you have left? I mean, I got nothing.
All right. So, like VTM, Vanishing Tower Press mentioned that they were interested in this, and they reached out to Zach. I guess they haven't gotten an answer yet. So, what I understand is that he'll send you a response and tell you if you are truly interested. Sounds cultish, right? If you are truly interested, if you are truly committed, respond to this email, and then I will give you instructions. And the instructions has 32 steps. It isn't like,
32 steps. Again, I feel like we're going to do e-meter readings. This is going to be amazing. And you realize that by this time this video is done, we are going to be SPs. We're going to be suppressive personalities, and he'll no longer be allowed to chat with us. And if you're Zach, if you're one of the Legion of Zach, he won't be able to speak to us either. This will be great.
No. So what you have to do, and depending on what the destination is, the time frame is by December 25th or by January 1st. you have to do all the above. Well, first thing you got to do is you got to join all these communities that he says you must join, and then send him your screen name for each one so he can monitor, I guess, what it is that you're doing there. And
I look forward to Zach's. Can you imagine Zach being surrounded by this much free time that you can go forth and follow your minions? Like I'm sorry, I have a hard time following myself. I'm not sure how you have time to. I mean, this is pull these strings. Ah, ha, ha, ha. This is just Nosferatu kind of stuff, right? So Kim's got a question. What Zach are we speaking of?
We're talking about gaming with D&D with porn stars, Zach. I hit it with my axe, Zach. Occasional performer in some, I guess, B porno flicks. I don't know. I've never seen one. I don't want to know. I know another Zach has read his book, so I can't speak on it myself. But
I think we have to talk to all this, right? So it's going to be a long first hour. It's going to be a lot of fun, right? So I am not one of those people that is particularly concerned about what consenting adults do. And so if you so wish to if you want to play D&D with porn stars, rock on. Like, I don't care what you do for a profession. Again, I have said this time and time again. The table should be wide. The table should be open. The table should be accepting of anybody who is reasonably there to play games and have a good time. And if they choose to work in a clothing optional environment, I don't care, right? I am not working in a clothing optional environment because I care about all of you, and I would never do that to you. But
thank you.
But trust me. But we have to really think about this, because I think that, there are people in this industry that prey on people. There are people who prey on, I don't know if vulnerable is the right word, but certainly we all know people who are a little too much in a hobby or too close to a hobby. And usually when somebody is so deep in a hobby, that's a sign that there's other things that are unbalanced in their life. And let's be honest, right? We have all had those friends where, for whatever reason, the focus gets too tight. And the earliest example in the RPG hobby is somebody who decided to do things in steam tunnels, and this was bad. And we can all agree this was bad. But when you are like, if you want this, I'm setting a condition and you have to meet these conditions. Okay, right? Like, if you're a creator, the relationship to people who like your products should not be conditional. Well, if you want it, the only way you can get it is by glorifying my name in these many ways. Or promoting the product in these ways. And we have to call that out. We have to call that out as malign behavior. We have to call that out as predatory. Yeah. And I don't give a shit if somebody wants to price a game product at $1,000, God bless them. If you sell more than a single copy or two copies, whatever, right? There's the pharma guy who bought the unreleased Wu-Tang album, right? And paid all that money for it. Yeah. And so actually I'm going to disagree with Tabletop. Zach's numerology would not be 667. He would in fact be 665, because he still comes up short of being the beast. So about this kind of stuff, I don't care what you price your products at. If you think you can sell it for $1,000, that's great. But if you think that you can send people out to do all these things, and that's okay, I think it's unseemly. That's the word I keep thinking. That's the word that just comes to mind about all of this, because it's predatory, it's unseemly. And frankly, come on, my social media feeds are pretty lackluster. The odds are I'm never going to see any of these posts as it is, and I don't know who's out there in in those areas that are going to be doing this or jumping through these hoops. But if I see any of them, I mean, my gut response is going to be, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry that you're doing this, and I'm so sorry that you feel like you have to do this. But more than anything else, I'm sorry that somebody told you to do this, and you bought into that.
Yeah. And it's interesting, too, because in that second email, Zach even says, if one of these, I don't know, steps, instructions is so onerous that you can't do it, contact me and we'll figure out a substitute. So, in other words, he's trying to be kind and understanding, but he's not really. And the $1,000 price tag is...
That's just a made-up barrier point of entry. And come on, like, I'm not saying that if he is in fact a paid porn star, that aspect of his life or his choices is unseemly. I'm not here to judge that. No. I'm here to simply judge the behavior of L. Ron Hubbard-ish, go forth and do these things, my minions, and I will reward you with this book.
Right.
And that's, again, like, does Zach have a Sea Org? I mean, what's it going to be called? Is it going to be called the Z Org? I love this. Are they all going to be on a boat with those little fancy made-up Navy costumes, living the dream? Like, this is awesome. This could be, there's a lot of material we could farm in 2025 on this, and I'm just not sure.
Something tells me probably not. Now, what I do find interesting that there's a number of social media places like Reddit, and I guess the OSR Reddit, and Big Purple, and N-World, where Zach is banned, and discussion of Zach is banned.
That's great. When you unify all of these disparate places and they all ban you, that's a sign you need a change.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. No, that's great.
So now with the places that he's banned, you still have to join if you don't know. And listen, if you want to go and jump through these hoops and go through the hamster wheel, that's on you. God. Don't use any accounts that you actually use in real life, because they're going to get banned universally.
God, I want to create an account now and just start doing really off the wall posts about this. Like, I mean, so the problem I have is that you wind this key up and then I'm ready to go. And here we have finally Satan to speak to Zach's actions. This is going to be excellent. I'd like to introduce from the 9th plane of hell. Yes, he's back in his throne of power. Bad Mike's Battle Auto, Satan himself.
Well, guys, I'm a little rough. I had a road trip that we didn't get finished because we started too late, and we're too tired. Pull over to a hotel. So I'm so dedicated to this show and these two gentlemen, my brothers, that I said I'm still going to do the show. My wife said, "You got to do the show." I said, "I know, honey. I've got to do the show. The show must go on."
Your wife understands. She understands that.
And then to add misery, getting out of the car, I banged my head against the roof so hard that pain went down my eye, all the way through my ear, down my neck, into my back. And I swear to God, I think I almost got a concussion. I hit my head so hard just getting out of the car and banging my head. So I'm like, I'm a little shaky. A little shaky.
I've had a very interesting week, and like, I was with family, and I was with a close family member last week who had surgery, and that person has given up smoking, but vapes as much as they smoke. And so, I spent the better part of a week just living in this chemical fog bank. So I sounded like Nick Nolte after a weekend of Camel No Filter. So I'm better tonight. But the other is that after reading Zach's demands of his minions, what you have to do to get a copy of the compendium, I genuinely felt like I was the victim of testicular torsion using vice clamps, because that's the feeling that just ricocheted through my entire body.
Didn't you immediately just want to run out and create 31 new accounts so you could?
I have a lot of things that I wanted to do when I read that, but none of them I'm actually going to air in public, because the list was long.
Eric's right. So you better start 31 new accounts, because they will all universally be banned by everybody. by
You know,
everybody.
we
will
have
ban
a
these
short
immediately.
memory. We have a short memory in this industry, and I need to do a callback, right? I want to do a callback. This was on my little post-it note of things to mention, right? You know, ours is an industry where unfortunately most people have the memory in this industry of a gnat. And we need to go back to the glorious days of the roots of pagan publishing. Because many of you are familiar with the late artist Blair Reynolds, who did a lot of early pagan work, was one of the reasons pagan
Great artist, yes.
Came out hard hitting and strong and so on and so forth. And so Blair was living in Alaska at that point, and the pagans were still living in a house in Missouri. And so John Scott Tynes and the others are in this house in Missouri, and Blair, and if you didn't know him, he had a voice that sounded like this. Blair, because I talked to him on the phone and it was just great. You'd be like, "Hi, Blair." "Hello." "Oh, God." So Blair sends them a box. And in the box, it's large and it's been overnighted from Alaska and it's cold to the touch.
It's still got the Alaska cold.
It is ice cold to the touch. And they start to open it because they don't know what Blair has sent them. The deeper they go in the box, there's more layers of plastic and freezer packs and more layers of plastic and freezer packs. And they finally get to the dread center of the box. Do either of you remember what Blair mailed them?
I do not, sadly.
A dog's head. He was working in a lab doing necropsy results for rabies and decided as a lark to mail the pagans a dog's head. Now, we can all agree that this is terrible and awful, but like I feel like we're only another demand away from the cultists of Zach like starting to send people like review copies of things. Wow. And I'm just like, this just fills me with dread, apocalyptic dread.
You know, and it's fun. What blows.
All of our spam accounts for Zach are going to be named Tom Tellis. Variation of Tom Tellis.
Everyone's going to be Tom Tellis.
Wait, I'm going to be Ty Beard. I'm going to be Ty Beard.
Yeah, why should we get banned?
Ooh.
Whoa. Oh my God! They found you, Mike. They're going to launch.
Hey, the hotel is burning down, folks. Everything else today. Oh God!
It just gets better and better.
My Bastion
games.
Oh dear.
So in the end, what we have is a weird dude. We got a weird dude, and that weird dude has asked other dudes to do weird stuff on behalf of the weird dude. Am I right?
So Eric, so hold on. So do you have further insight on this? So you're supposed to create these bot accounts and then do what with them?
All right. So Mike, so this is what it is. You create these social media accounts. You join these Discords. It includes the OSR Discord because apparently my video got picked up over there because like we got a mention in Tenkar's latest. I didn't know it was them.
Oh, they're gonna love this one then.
Yeah. So you gotta join all these social media locations, and some of them are at best Zach, not agnostic. What Zach haters? All right, I'm just trying to be really. They just
so big purple and
people who are not necessarily sharing the Zach view.
Right. Well, where Zach is verboten, like he's excommunicated from the OSR community, so you can't mention his name. Right. He's not even like Candyman. You can't mention his products.
God, that's awesome.
All right, so you've got to join these groups, and over the next couple of weeks, make 10 comments. Some cases it's actually posts, but you got to make 10 comments to legitimize yourself, right? You got to show that you're active and that you exist. Not talking anything about Zach, by the way, in these places because you don't. But then he's going to tell you when there's an announcement, and you are to share the announcement. So what do you think is going to happen when you go to the OSR Rainbow and you go, Zach's announcing that his penis is whatever?
Stop. I got to riff off Archer here. Please stop. My penis can only get so soft. God. This is just, like with DCC, we joke it's a cult, but this, I mean, really and truly, like they're going to form a church. They're going to get the tax write-offs. It's just going to be amazing.
People will do so. Some people will do this. Now, I had told Eric, I thought once I saw the onerous conditions, I'm like, I don't think most people are going to dedicate to this bid. But he has his very loyal sycophants that will do this just because they would jump off a building and
go forth, my minions, go forth.
But yeah, for the most part, most of the casual normies are just. It's just this bit's just. It's just too much. I mean, I could, look. I could see if Zach told him dress up in a chicken suit and go out in the road with a sign that says, I love, Zach, and take a picture. Okay, that's weird, but I people would do it. This is a real big investment in time and effort.
I look forward to the Z org, the ZEE org. All right, just they're all going to have natty little naval uniforms. They're going to meet on a dinghy. These people are going to be awesome. Like really and truly, we're going to finally know who the Z org really are, right? Like oh God.
So you're gonna get these. You're gonna get, like I said, the truly faithful will do this, and like for whatever purpose. But this. I don't know. Zach's motives are inscrutable. Is this actually just to get Zach's stuff? Or is he just seeing what kind of power he still wields, even after he's been discommunicated or uncommunicated or whatever from the world of gaming? Is this just to see if he can still get people to do what he wants them to do?
I think
I pull these strings. I pull them.
I think there's a bit of that, and I think there's a desire, especially with places like Reddit, N-World, and Big Purple, to give them. Fuck you. You can ban my talk about me and I can still be relevant for 5 minutes before all those comments get deleted.
This is the problem when you rage against the machine, right? This is a problem that Rage Against the Machine has, right? You have all the piss and vinegar, but I've seen how much you charge for your merchandise and you are the machine. That's a problem. They're going to be so downvoted in Reddit, it won't matter.
Right.
Kurt has the point. If you don't do the 10 posts, are you cursed? Like, I got nothing, right? Like, Zach communicated is going to be a lot of fun. Like, we're going to start we've got so many hashtags coming out of this. We're going to have hashtag ZORG, ZEEORG. We'll have hashtag Zach communicated. Like that, yes, right?
Yeah,
I sense a new shirt, Fugly. I sense a new shirt, and I'm not sure how it's going to shape up yet, but it's going to be the Z org with like a bunch of followers in naval uniforms, and it's going to be awesome. And there should be a scroll with many commandments of posting, right? The Zach commandments of posting.
Oh my God.
God, the shirt is going to be fire. Absolute fire. So, I mean,
bizarre shit.
It's just
so
again, right?
Once again, so what do you get for this? This is like everything he's ever done, plus extra stuff.
You're getting his, I don't know, world building stuff that, which some people go, oh my God, it's awesome, it's orgasmic, or whatever they were saying. Mm-hmm. But it's funny because there's like two people on the blog, on the video who are commenting that are obviously psychopaths. And
no, they're not psychopaths. Like, stop that. That's not true. That's not true. These are adherents.
All right.
These are disciples.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If he gets the full baker's dozen, he gets the big table. So that's just
they're true believers. They're like, Master, can I hold your robe for you so it doesn't touch the ground? Yeah, okay. And the one guy's like, well, isn't what Zach is requesting the same as the YouTuber asking folks to like, subscribe, and comment?
No.
But there's a difference, right? There's a difference because really and truly, if you are a like, subscribe, and believe me, I'm the guy that literally breaks into a rash of hatred every time I hear, just don't forget to hit like and subscribe and leave a comment, right?
You don't hear it on this channel.
and you never will, right? This drives me nuts. But there's a difference between, and I think that's a straightforward pitch, which is the more followers I have, the more traction, the more monetization. That's at least honest, right? But when you're like, I'm indeed banned from these many places on the internet across a wide political spectrum of hatred for me. And so to get around this, what I've decided to do is I've decided to set my minions loose, following my many dictates of social posting. And if they jump through all these hoops, they get this special volume. And the only way they can get this volume is either doing this or giving me $1,000. $1,000.
Simoleons.
Yes, let the monies flow to the Zaculon. It'll be just amazing, right? It's just going to be spectacular.
Oh, yeah,
I can't tell you how much fun I've had the last 2 days.
I want to see. Look, I want to look. I am all over this because I want to see this happen because it's going to be. Look, it's going to be joyful because it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, right? We all need a little fun after the election. It's going to be fun to watch.
Oh my God, this is the best Christmas present we can hope for.
Especially places like what?
I wish you all to go forth wearing my Fisher-Price Little People. Oh, excellent.
Mike, you project too much.
I do. Boy, I'm in a hotel and I guess I'm getting complaints from the management now.
Excellent.
No, so it will be fun to watch this pop up on Big Purple and watch everybody have an absolute, Zach's here. Zach's here.
The problem,
and there's some places
that's the problem with Zach's Sea Org. They can't get a proper boat, so they're going to be on a Fisher-Price Little People houseboat, right? They're going to be like, "Oh, this is awesome. This is great. I feel."
So here's the other thing too. So how long do you have to keep doing this? I mean, is he gonna drag you for 2 years before you get to the promised land, or is this you do it one time, one weekend? I mean, there's just too many variables here. I'm sorry, just before I create 31 fake accounts, I've got to figure out, is it worth my investment in time? Time, because if he says, well, we're going to do this every week for the next year, then
there's an unspoken of achievement though, right? So how many of y'all watched the Venture Brothers, right? And we all remember that the Monarch had a couple of key henchmen. Well, the first person to jump through all these hoops will undoubtedly be named the 23 of the Z org, right? And then he's going to be like, hey, you guys, I did all the things and I got a copy of the book and it's mostly empty pages. It's going to be terrible. I feel so bad for that guy. So bad for that guy.
God. Well, he'll. And here's what's the funny part is we all know how the internet works, right? So, 1 week after somebody gets this, it's going to be on every free PDF site. It's on the internet because they're going to scan it. It's going to be scanned and uploaded.
Remember, it's worth $1,000. I don't know if anybody's going to cut up that $1,000 book.
$1,000.
Well, they don't have to cut it up. So Eric,
I know.
You don't have to cut it up anymore. You put the little gloves on, and you put the eye thing on, and you put it in there, and you just turn the page. It takes a picture of a page, and then it consolidates them. So you don't have to cut the book into pieces.
Personally, I think anybody who goes through these steps is not going to share it.
You're probably right. These are true believers. These are absolute true believers. They're probably not going to share it. So I think you're probably right in that regard.
I just shake my head in pity, right? Because if you don't have any more going on in your life, that you get to follow the steps of Zach, and again, right? How is he going to keep track of his mini minions? Right? Is he just how does he audit the minions? Right?
Maybe
is there a Z meter? Do they hook them up to a Z meter and measure their responses?
I'm sure you have to contact them, right? And get your name on a list to do.
You got to give them a list of all your accounts, and then at the end, I think you got to give them screenshots.
Okay. How about this? How much work is Zach going to put himself through? Because he's got to keep track of 30 people with 31 accounts each posting on 31 different sites. I mean, Am I over exaggerating?
No, you're not. But
No, we talked about this before you got on because
Oh
there's
my
just
God.
no way you could do this. There's
Oh
just
my
no way you
God.
could do this.
I'm going to spitball and say Zach is not going to do any kind of auditing until the end of this. And the reason being is if you only complete like 30 of the 31 steps, you get nothing. And he also says if you pay the $1,000, your book gets shipped out tomorrow. But if you're looking to get it for free, it gets shipped out when it gets shipped out.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you did all the steps. It arrives when it arrives. So he can take 6 months to do the audit. I don't think he's going to be rushing through it.
I just have to tell you all, I have like a list of Scientology terminology and jokes that I'm trying not to use. Like I was on Operation Clambake, like just going nuts today, trying to figure out what to say tonight. And again, the biggest part of all this that just reeks to high heaven is I hate emotional blackmail, and the only thing I hate more than emotional blackmail is the blackmailer themselves. And that's really what this is. This is just.
But Jim, nobody has to look. Zach, look, nobody has to do this. I mean, this. I mean, Zach is giving people a moral quandary here. I mean, am I willing to debase myself to have gaming stuff that nobody else is going to have? So I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, more power to him for something like this. It's not going to affect my life one bit whatsoever. It's going to create comedy when he starts posting on places like the Rainbow Artist.
Oh yeah,
and I don't know, N World, and and Morris sees it on N World. Morris has like an absolute meltdown on his page. I mean, it's going to be funny. It's going to. So I welcome the entertainment value. Okay, I really welcome the entertainment value.
Well, one of my favorite bits is one of the commenters was like, "No, this is like legitimate community building. It's requiring people to interact on social media and."
Are you high?
Listen again. It's man,
yes.
Hold the hem of your robe up.
God, yes, this sounds like Nexium. Have you people not heard about Nexium? This is like
do you have to get a tattoo branded in your body also? What's that?
You have to get a brand. You're gonna have to get the Z brand.
Yeah.
Why does the brand make his initials if I look at it the right way? Well, it's just the kind of thing.
It's just accidental.
I don't understand.
It's a higher power behind it. Don't ask questions.
That's right. That's right. Oh my God. The Z meter will detect your Ingrams. It'll be awesome.
The Zorgons from back in time. I can't remember.
Oh my God.
I don't.
Yes.
For all you out there that happen to be no. Surely nobody's watching this show is a Tom Cruise disciple or
Yeah.
No, but no. This is it's look. It's gonna be. Look, it's going to be entertaining, folks. Come on. Let's face it. It's not going to affect our lives one way or the other because we're not doing this. We probably don't even know anybody that's doing it or would even want to do it. So it's just going to be entertaining to watch this S show develop online as people start posting stuff and people are like, oh my God, it's another one of those posters. And then what they'll do is they're not going to just ban your name, guys. They're going to ban you. They're going to ban
you're going to become an SP, a suppressive personality, and you will be banned from the realm of Zachness.
You will be.
They're going to ban your IP.
Yeah, he's going to be banned, folks. This is not.
That's the back of the T-shirt. It will say, "I was found to be a suppressive personality in the realm of Zachness."
So the richest person here, which is either, it's got to be Tom Tullis, right?
Yes.
Somebody who Frugal DM was right. You need to pony up at 1K, Tom, and get the item so we can all review it. And if you were a friend of us, you would do that. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yes.
If you were a friend of us, because we know you got the money to burn. I mean, come on.
Oh, come on, right? This is just.
Let's do it.
Or we could get Ty Beard not to buy a Glock for a week, and that would be we get him to Come
Ty,
on,
for
Ty.
the price of one firearm, we could have so much joy.
It's more like 2, but still, he'd have money to buy magazines afterwards, so he'd be okay.
All right, firearm and a half.
Wait a second, hold on. I haven't seen that retirement check from Kurt Gould. He may be able to afford this with
Kurt Gould is
the
rolling.
sweet money. The sweet
He is
money
rolling
he's got.
in that Monopoly
Oh
money.
my God. Watsy probably backed a truck up there and just dumped out, big giant sacks like in the cartoons, cling, 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 cling. So Kurt might be our. Maybe we may have to hit Kurt for this. So.
Well,
Yes.
Talking about ex-Watsies, have you guys seen Mike Merles is like enjoying his freedom now? He is on X doing surveys,
Good for him.
commentary,
Good for Mike. He got hammered a lot for a lot of stuff that wasn't necessarily his fault. And look, the whole thing about the getting Pundit and Zach to do the review of material. This is before. I mean, yes, they were at the time they were controversial figures, but this is before the allegations against Zach. This is before Pundit cranked it up to 11. So he was just trying to get different takes on the material. I don't blame him for that at all. I think people just had a hard on out for him. I mean, honestly. Kurt says, "Will he take Magic the Gathering cards?"
Yes.
No, but I will. Why don't you slip some of those in an envelope? Because I know you've got some sweet stuff there, Kurt, and send it to me, and I will. I'll let you know how you did.
Mike will only take them if they're pre-sealed in indestructible acrylic.
Yeah,
I want the early ones. They're not as valuable.
Yeah, the old ones they're not. Yeah, they're not worth as much time. You can't use them in tournaments anymore, Jim. So the old ones are really kind of useless if you think about it. So those purple moxes, whatever. Those are no good anymore. Now this is. Let's just appreciate this, guys, for the entertainment value here that's going to develop over the next few months. I mean, I'm sitting here. I'm literally doing this when I'm reading the Zach. I'm like, oh yes, this is going to be so delicious, because.
And meanwhile, he's sitting in the center of his spider web, pulling the strings, pulling them.
Nobody will ever share my.
Here's the question we need to ask though: is who is he going to sue after this is over? Because he's going to always have to sue somebody. Who's going to say something that's suable against Zach?
Not it.
I don't think we have yet. I think we've just been our opinion on different things. I've been very careful to give Zach credit for all the good he's done in the world, and so.
Well, I don't know about that, but he's written some damn good stuff, and he's filled in on other stuff.
I'm not gonna say he's a terrible. I'm not gonna. Look, we are very well known for cutting it right down the middle with Zach in terms of. We think some of the stuff he did was really good. I probably like Blue Medusa better than Eric does, but I think that Red and Pleasant Land's really good. He probably thinks that's a little better than I do.
Right.
I like Vornheim. He hates Vornheim, and I don't mind Vornheim. But he's obviously got something. But so we're never going to say he's not a talented individual. It's just, he's just a miserable human being.
Well, I think that's just it, right?
In our opinion.
It is. Again, it comes down to your professional credentials can be whatever they are, right? And we know. I mean, the three of us know some remarkably talented people within this industry who are privately dumpster fires. Absolute dumpster fires,
absolutely.
right? They are people who don't get asked back to conventions. They're the people who put their hands on people in a way. There's
a guy out there that I won't even name him to give him any credit that makes really good cartography maps that called Eric and I fascist. So he's on my Christmas S list because that's just ridiculous.
The vacuum cleaner. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the vacuum cleaner. He called us fascist for whatever reason. It doesn't matter what the reason is because we're not. It's the stupidest thing ever. And so, I mean, but I'm not going to say the man's not a talented cartographer. He is, but
but that doesn't. Again, like I could care less if he charges $1,000 for a copy of the book.
Right.
Have at it. But when you ask people to jump through all these hoops to illicitly promote your product, if you want a copy of the book, you have to do all these different things to get my product mentioned in a place that I can't go to because I've been banned. Okay.
So I'm probably one of the only people alive, much less the only person here that ever read Zach's book, I Did Porn. which I actually read. I made myself read it
for us,
because
man. I appreciate
because
it.
I always tell Eric I like to take the hits for him, so he doesn't have to take the hits. So I read his book, his autobiography. I did board. And so one thing you get from the book reading it is, first of all, he's the first man alive that's ever made porn boring to me. Which but I mean, absolutely boring. And at a certain point, I was yawning reading the book. But you get, so when you're reading it, you get a sense of who he is. You really do. And he's just a man that likes to look. Some of the stuff he does, I think, hit it with my axe was a pretty good idea. It was an interesting idea to have porn stars play D&D. That's out. That's a little out there, but
there was a store that I used to do business with when I was at Games Workshop. I had a store in Arizona, a monstrous Games Workshop seller, where the manager was going through a rough divorce, and he was hanging out at a clothing optional establishment 3 or 4 nights a week because it was the cheapest steak dinner in town, and it was a buffet. And he ended up having some of the entertainment from the clothing optional establishment who came by the store, and they played a game after hours, after the store was closed, and there were pictures. And you're like, okay, I suppose now, 30 years later, we can look at this in a number of ways, but the fact that it didn't get monetized is probably like, there are a lot of 40K people that would have probably paid to have a copy of this game on DVD. And it's a lost opportunity in that regard. Is it shameful? Am I glad that they didn't do it during store hours? Yes, I am. But yes, right? And he will say, it was a phase in my life. We thought it was funny. The girls had a good time, blah, 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 blah. But that's not the key defining characteristic to that person. I think what you're talking about, this book and his life story. Yeah. Yes.
Well, one of the things. Well, what I was going to add to that at the end was that you get a sense from reading his autobiography that he likes to manipulate people to do things for him and sees if they will. And look, some people have that talent, some people don't. I obviously don't have that talent because my wife's never done anything I've asked her or told her to do. And so,
wow.
As she adjusts my computer,
I know she went by.
And so, but some people like Zach are able to, get people to do what they want to do. I think his whole life has been a series of, what can I make this? Can I make this person do this? This would be interesting if you can do that. And so this is all. And look, this goes back to his Google Plus days. When he had his whole army of sycophants he would sick them on people. Eric remembers that.
Oh yeah.
But then he would deny. So he had these ways of doing things. First of all, he would specifically get on his blog and say, minions, I do explicitly tell you on my blog, whatever you do not harass Joe T. Smith III, who goes on here. Do not harass him. I'm telling you right now, do not harass this person. And we all know what would happen then, right? Because wink, wink, nod, nod. And so that this was his, way of basically seeing how many people he could get to make their life miserable and then he would say, I don't know if you understand, but I explicitly told them on my blog not to harass this person. So I'm obviously not, if they decide to do it, they went against my express, which is wink, wink.
Wink.
And so that's always a good one with him. And the other one was always he would reply to you. He said this to Eric a few times. That's why he got banned from the YouTube channel. He would reply with some, long-winded replies and on. And then after 2 days, he deletes it.
Not even after 2 days. The moment I would respond, and my response usually was, you ban me from all your social media sites, so I can't comment there. I'm kind enough to allow you to comment here, and then you're going to probably just delete this. And then he deleted it. And I was just like, all right, he's true to form. Listen, I said this before, I'll say this again. If he was on fire, I wouldn't cross the street to piss on him. If he was right in front of me, I'd probably piss on myself before putting him out. But he's still a talented writer when he wants to be, phones it in when he feels lazy. and as far as I know, has never been convicted of a crime.
Never, he's look, he's been absolutely, he's been able to stay free and clear in that regard, and so that's one thing we'll never say about him because he's able to he was able to prove himself beyond a reasonable doubt not guilty of several things he's been accused of. So good for him in that regard. But he does, in my opinion, does enjoy manipulating people and making them do odd things. Whether it be porn or whether it be gaming or whether it be, hey, would you like to create 31 fake IDs and post stuff for me? It's just something. I think that's part of the motivation. I really do. Is just to say, look, I enjoy making people, and look, that had to kill him the last couple of years when he was basically a non-person. By the powers that be. It had to kill him because he wasn't able to make that kind of a impact on people.
So I think the most insidious lesson of all of this, right, is that the person with the track record, with the track record of behavior, that sociopathic manipulation, the fact that he's asking people to do this, that just shows that the leopard isn't going to change its spots.
No.
And we've spent almost an hour on this because we started early tonight, Mike. Just
you did.
30 seconds before 8.
I need to break you guys of that habit. That's not going to continue.
And come on, right? Like we're having some fun with this, but in the end, this is tragedy, right? Because there are some followers that probably, as we speak, are desperately trying to hit their numbers so they can get a copy of this book. Mm-hmm. God love their hearts. I'm so sorry for them.
Yeah.
And that's just the sads. It's just,
but like I said, he has some true believers, and they'll do it. And I just don't think the normies will. And so it's going to be an interesting curio. And look, he's already succeeded because like Jimmy, you said, we talked about it for an hour. I'm sure there'll be posts about him here and there on YouTube and the internet and in world. As soon as these people start posting on these various sites, there'll be articles about how dare they post.
But you know what? This is not an hour of us praising Zach.
No,
we're discussing
okay, buddy. You did something so dumb that we're going to call it out. We're going to have fun at your expense for an hour, and then we're moving on, and you're not going to be a subject again.
Like I said, I as far as I'm concerned, it's genius because it's going to bring me a lot of entertainment. I have a feel.
Yes,
I feel like I'm going to be entertained here. So all power to Zach in that regard because
all hail Z-Org.
But he won't be discussed on EN World. He won't be discussed on most of the Reddit sub channels. He won't be discussed on Big Purple because discussion of him, even this stunt, is going to be forbidden. It's going to get deleted.
Look. I'm well known on record with how my feelings with Big Purple. I think it's a cesspool of garbage.
Yeah.
But and one of the reasons is, yes, you should, that they have certain things or subjects that are banned, and I don't believe in that. It just I just don't believe it. I think you should be able to talk about everything. Now, sure, if a conversation starts getting circular, you shut the thread down. Okay, we've talked about this and we're back to square one to shut it down. But I never think, and they have several subjects that they outright ban. You can't talk this, even though you can talk this, and this, which is basically the same thing as this, but not exactly this. So it's up to personal preference for them. And so I'm not a big fan of Big Purple at all because I just think it's silly, and I don't think that banning talk about Zach is stupid. Look, as Eric said, and I said, where he has created some memorable RPG creations. You should be able to discuss those without oh, that's not allowed.
Well, and that's a good point because you should be able to talk about his work without having the flaming torches and pitchforks. You should be able to discuss that. But the problem is that when you're so odious that no matter how the quality of your work, your lesser side comes oozing through. That's just it, right? So that brings me, and this is a good place, and I'm tapping out after this. This brings me to Marion Zimmer Bradley.
Oh yes,
right. So I was at a used bookstore last week, and they had 4 or 5 Marion Zimmer Bradley books. And I did what I always do whenever I see some Marion Zimmer Bradley books. I looked at them and I thought, do I pitch them in the dustbin? Do I, leave them for somebody else to buy, and so on? And I'm standing there and I was looking, and I had them in my hand, and I must have had a look on my face. And the bookseller said, "What's going on?" And I said, "This is a person who was one of the most lauded people in fantasy and science fiction for the better part of 2 or 3 decades. Wrote Mists of Avalon, wrote a number of things, and was one of the first real feminist forward
the Darkover series, Darkover books,
the Darkover, and so on."
Series,
and I was like, and they were like, "What?" And I said, "I don't even want to say the words." I said, "But you can go on the internet and you can see why I'm tempted to just pick these up and throw them in a trash can." And to their credit, the employee went, "Really?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Okay." And she walked over to the computer. She looked up Marion Zimmer Bradley. She came back and she goes, "Throw them away." Yes. She took them and threw them in the trash can.
It's that disturbing. Yeah, we won't even talk about it. Just like Jim said, just go Google it and you'll find out what you did.
And to their credit, I didn't ask for them to do this, but they had a little discussion at the counter, and then they were like, and I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. And if there's a day in the future where no matter how the quality of the work, we eventually get to a point where that's what happens, I'm perfectly okay.
But if I'm walking through an airport and somebody's reading a Marion Zimmer Bradley book, I like to separate the art from the artist. The art from the artist. I always believe in separating the art from the artist. And I've talked this before. I'm a huge Picasso fan, but the guy was a piece of garbage and treated women like garbage, and he's a miserable human being. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy some Picasso stuff. But he's an absolute miserable. I would never say I'm a fan of him. I'm not. I think he's a miserable human being. But so you can do that. You can have your opinions don't have to absolutely match in that regard. You could say, "Look, I enjoy this, but I don't."
That's a start. We're not quite there yet, but that's a start.
Oh, hold on.
The Zeorg Holidays.
The man is a genius. Look at this.
Yes, but we'll work on this together. We'll come up with something, because one of the things you're missing is the Sea Org actually has fake U.S. Navy costumes. I'll find some examples for you, but we'll get there.
I didn't hear. So what's the David Eddings thing? I haven't heard. What was his sin? I didn't hear about David Eddings.
So I don't know anything bad about Eddings. I was in a discussion earlier today where I was talking about the Belgariad, and one of the things that I talked about with the Belgariad is that David Eddings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember it now. Okay, yeah. I remember Eddings thing now.
Was there unfortunate, or were there unfortunate things with David Eddings?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It was worse than I remembered. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Jesus. I've forgotten all about that. Yes. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. It might be on the level of Marion Zimmer. It's pretty bad. So, but once again, if you like Eddings' books, which he has some great series, don't. Keep that separate. Keep it separate. Keep it separate in your mind. Don't let the memories get ruined for the Belgariad or whatever.
Yeah. I just saw what it was with Eddings, and no offense, but that's bad. But it ain't Marion Zimmer.
No, it's actually hers. And if you're reading this story, it's worse. The Bradley stuff's worse.
The Bradley stuff is so much worse.
It's much worse.
So I had a fun idea. I thought that one of the things we could talk about in the second hour, I know there's other stuff, but I thought I would throw this out about Christmas presents, past, present, and future, right? The ghost of Christmas presents, past, present, and future. And so thinking about this, I was watching a movie the other night, and of course the main character is being haunted by the ghost of past, present, and future. And I was thinking about Christmas presents and gaming, in RPG gaming, and so on and so forth. And so if I were to do this, if I were sort of play this game, I think the present I remember the most RPG wise is is the Christmas that I got my copy of Barrier Peaks, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. I spent that entire day, Christmas Day, reading that module forward to backwards, drawing what I thought the rest of the ship looked like on a chalkboard, and so on and so forth. Like, that's the most treasured memory I have of an RPG gift from the past. And if I'm thinking about the present, you know, I at this point in our lives, the thing we almost always do is we buy our presents for ourselves, right? We almost always, you know, like, it's too hard to try to get people who don't have anything to do with a hobby to get the thing that you would like for Christmas or whatnot. And I actually broke down and I bought a copy of Dead Man's Hand, because I've had a hankering to do some cowboy miniatures and so on and so forth. And so I got my copy of Dead Man's Hand this past week while I was gone. It showed up. And then the Christmas, the RPG present for the future, right? And so this is where you sort of have to throw a little bit of speculation in all of this. I am really looking forward to Troll Lord's Gygax works that are coming. And believe me, like, if we thought that Brandon Sanderson hoovered out money out of everything, my God, the trolls have been just trumpeting that it's coming and it's coming and it's going to be here in 2025 and so on. And I think that's going to be great, right? I think that's going to be fabulous. But there's other stuff too, right? And I'm not sure exactly what my pick for Ghost of RPG Future is. But I do think that the other is a product that doesn't exist. Is I'm looking forward to the next thing in Shadow Dark, the next hardcover volume in Shadow Dark.
Sure.
And I don't know what that's going to be, but I'm looking forward to that. So, Mike, what's your past, your present, and your future that you would like to see as a gift or remember and so on?
Yeah, so what are the parameters of this?
So what's a Christmas present? What's an RPG holiday present that you got as a kid that you remember and you love and so on and so forth?
So I was not really so when I started playing in '78 or so, and nobody understood what it was. My parents didn't understand what it was. I've always been really very big about I don't really ever ask for presents because nobody knows really what to give me. I just like to get my own stuff. But I remember getting some money on Christmas Day, probably '78. So I started playing like in June or May of '78, May of '78. And I remember getting some money, and I remember going at that point. I think I was 16. No, maybe no, I wasn't 16 yet. But I remember getting some money, and so we had a hobby store at the mall called Hobbies for Dads and Lads, and that's where I used to buy my D&D stuff because they had most, like as a lot of us did. Hobby stores back in the day had a rack in the back, and you go back there, and that's where all the it was hidden in the back, so nobody else could see it, even though it was probably sold 10 times more than their model airplanes.
Yeah, like pornography in the back of a videotape store.
So it was always, you never knew it was going to be there. And I remember going in with that Christmas money, and I went to the back, and they had the original treasure. What do they call those? The treasure sheets. The
Monster and treasure sheets. Yeah.
Monster and treasure assortments. And I remember buying those with that Christmas money, going home, and I was so excited and just rolling up monsters for dungeons, because that was always an issue with me. Is, if it was up to me, I'd put a dragon in every room, but I realized I couldn't do that. I need something random, and that was a great randomizer. So I remember buying those, and I don't know, those hadn't been in there before because I went in that store all the time. They were in there the week after Christmas. Bought them, brought them home, and spent a fun week just rolling up random monsters. So that was like I said, I don't think I've ever got anything RPG related for a present.
Okay, so what's the gift you're going to buy yourself this year for Christmas? What's the RPG present you're buying yourself for the holidays?
I will probably Man, I can't justify buying anything at this point. I have too much crap as it is. I will probably end up buying. I'll probably go to GameStop right after Christmas and see if they have marked down any more, because for about 2 or 3 years they carried a D&D line of dice, and we saw the
Yep.
idol, the demon idol roller. I'm going to see if they have anything marked down even more, because it's been another year since it's been marked down. So I'll probably try to go find some marked down. I always do a Christmas shopping after Christmas. That's what the smart people do. Let me
Yep.
tell you. Go after
And so what's the thing in the future that you're looking forward to? Near future or theoretical or?
I'm looking. So really, and this is interesting, Jim. Now because you kind of brought this up, now I'm thinking about it. I'm more excited about the future of our hobby than I am anything in the past, because
Yep.
I have almost everything I really want. From the past.
Yep.
There's nothing I want, but I am, and I'll tell you a few things excited for. I'm excited that someday Greg Gillespie's going to create 2 more mega dungeons, because he said he would do 6, and he's got 2 more to go, and he's working on number 5 right now. I'm excited, like you said, about let's see what Kelsey does with Shadow Dark. I'm excited about anything new coming out from Jeff Talanian, from
Yep.
Tom Wilson. That I'm excited about seeing Black Blade again at Archon, because Black Blade Publishing, Alan and John, they always carry a gigantic selection of third party stuff, and I will always find something in their third party
Yes.
stacks and stuff. So I think the OSR, especially, I think the future of this hobby is so bright in terms of the OSR. Now I don't really care about anything from WotC or anything in that regard, or 5e, but I'm really, really excited about the future of OSR and what the OSR people that I like are coming out with. I always like Greg Christopher's stuff. He does, the Shadow Sun. I mean, he does a lot of really good stuff. I mean, yeah, there's just so much stuff out there that's coming out now in the future that I want to see the OSR continue. I want to see the OSR continue, get bigger, get better, and bring more people on board. So I'm always looking at new things, and I'm really excited about how the looks like OSR is going to be really big in the next few years. I think we're going to gain a lot of dissatisfied 5e people in our hobby. So.
All right, Eric.
Yes.
What's the thing from the past that you remember?
See, gaming wise, my parents gave me for my birthday. I got the player's handbook and the DMG and a set of dice, but my parents never got me anything else for RPGs. However, my sister did, and she's younger than me.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm a really good brother, because when Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay came out, I was really fiending for it. I was probably like 18, 19.
Yeah.
And she went down to the Complete Strategist in Manhattan and bought it for me. But I, of course, searching for my parents' presents for me, found it ahead of time, and spent numerous early afternoons coming back from school reading it, and then putting it back under the bed, under the bed pillow that was underneath. So my sister never knew that I found it early, but I ran the shit out of that game. So that was the past. Present, I'm like Mike. I have pretty much what has ever been on my wish list.
Yep.
What I'm probably going to do is I always wanted to check out the One Ring 2E, and right now it's up on Bundle of Holding as one of their things. So I can get the starter kit for like $8, and I can actually not have to invest a lot of money, and I don't need if I want physical products, if I like it, I'll buy it later. But this way I'm not filling up my house with more books that Rachel will look at and go, I need more perfume and shoes, because I'm filling it up with my useless shit. And as for the future, what I might live in New York City, but I do most of my gaming online. My friends are all over the place. And we use Roll20 pretty much, and I have a lifetime account at Roll20 because I backed the Kickstarter, and it's fine. But I want a VTT that just falls to the background no matter what game you're running. It's something that feels almost as natural as running it at your regular table with Theater of the Mind or whatever. And we're not there yet. And I know different. I've looked at so many different VTTs. That's what I don't care about. I don't need virtual. I hate wearing a virtual headset from fucking Meta Facebook. The games are great, but I get a headache from wearing a thing. I don't want to play my RPGs with the VTT in 3D, but I want one that'll fade to the background and almost feel like it's virtual, even though it's on my computer screen. I want something that just feels natural. We haven't gotten there yet, and I wouldn't know how to program it. But that would be my Christmas gift in the future.
Okay. So, other things to think about, talk about. Did you see the announcement about what's going to be at the Strong Museum until the end of the year?
No, I haven't seen it.
So Matthew Kodor is actually showing off 14 of his originals from the collection, and they'll be at the Strong Museum in Rochester. Let's see. Here we go. They made an announcement. A selection of paintings from the Kodor collection at the Strong Museum in Rochester as part of the D&D 50th anniversary celebration. It will last until January 6th. And so
definitely check that out.
Yeah, there's some really great things. I can see a picture of it, and I'm trying to see if some of what I would say the larger pieces are. I have a friend who's going to be going this weekend and has promised me pictures, so we'll have a screen.
Excellent.
We'll have a series of pictures. Yes, the Strong Museum of Play.
And look, I'm going to say something. I've known Matthew a long time online. He's bought stuff from me over the years. A long time, 20-something years, and I'm going to say this. I've been kind of critical of him the last decade or so because of what I perceive as his hoarding of the hobby. But I'm going to give him kudos for doing this. So this is, it started with the Luca, exhibit there, and which looked magnificent, by the way. And if he's going to start doing this is absolutely what he needs to be doing to cement his place in the hobby. I think it's a great idea, and I'm going to give him thumbs up, Matthew, for doing this, because look, if you have the kind of hoard he has, which is literally, and Jim knows about this, it's literally a vault with pretty much every major piece of artwork, historical piece of D&D artwork there is, he could get his hands on. Yes, this is what you need to do. You need to show it. You need to have it so other people can see it. That's the whole point of having it. Like Indiana Jones, it belongs in the museum, right? It does. Yes. It belongs someplace where people can see him. So I think this is great. I'm really happy that Matthew started to do this, and I'd like to also thank John Peterson, because from what I understand, and I don't know if John would probably deny this, I think a good part of the reason Matthew's doing this is because John's been talking to his ear the last couple of years about, look, you need to create a legacy for yourself, and I think, so congratulations to John also for getting Matthew to do this. So.
Yeah, and I think he's reached a point where, the stuff that he doesn't have, he might have a good, 95% of the stuff he doesn't have that he wants, he knows who has it, and so on and so forth.
He'll eventually money whip him. He'll money whip him down eventually.
And the thing is that he's always said the idea was that eventually he was going to exhibit this and he was going to show this and you would be able to see it and so on. And I've had a discussion with John Peterson about some of what the collection is. There's a lot of preliminaries that were done before the final, where things have changed dramatically. One of the interesting things, I want to come back to Dragonlance here in a minute, but one of the things that's really interesting is that Matthew has been so aggressive about buying all this original art over the last 20 years that he's got a lot of history, and sharing it is the right way to go. Sharing it is
absolutely. And look, and we talk about this a lot there. And until people like Matthew are willing to do things like this, we're never going to have, in our lifetimes, we're never going to have a D&D or RPG museum or a D&D museum. Which either one, I'm not going to die happy if I don't see one of those. Which I'm worried.
So
I'm 60 years old. I want to see one.
We do have to talk about Dragonlance, because Dragonlance as a hashtag has been trending this week. And I think it's really interesting because I picked up on this, I don't know, about 3 or 4 days ago. And partially because a lot of the images of what's going to be in the Dragonlance book from WotC have started to surface, and people are doing side-by-side comparisons of
Oh yes.
yes, and so I think this sort of goes back to what we've talked about before with WotC, where they're trying to appeal to everybody. They're trying to make everybody happy. And let me start by saying I'm not the Dragonlance guy. I'm more of a Planescape person, and that should tell you how fundamentally broken I am. But I was never as deep into Dragonlance as a lot of people are. I read the original trilogy. I thought it was great. I thought it was a step in the right direction. I loved that Weiss and Hickman had a genius idea of making all of this tie together with modules and so on and so forth. So I think I appreciated Dragonlance for what it was. I appreciated its marketing aspects, its tie-in aspects, but I was never the guy that, like, after the first trilogy, like, you can keep talking about these twins like I'm supposed to know more about this, and I got nothing, right? Like, but that's fine. But there is clearly, and I've always known this, there's a real love for Dragonlance for people where it hit that sweet spot. And it's been a lot of fun over the last week watching the Dragonlance people absolutely like, this is not my Dragonlance, and the pictures that they're putting up, right? They're using, unfortunately, the WotC promo pic. There's like, this was my Dragonlance, and it was epic, and Sturm died, and we cried, and it was painful. And then, this is the new Dragonlance, and I'd like you to see that somebody is trying to repel some goblins. And you're just like, what the hell, right? Like,
well, yeah, I saw that artwork. It was a little,
and that's the problem, right? Is when you take something that was known for its gravitas and its, I mean, in a world where dragons are a problem, we have the, like, okay, sure, right? Got it. And instead, it looks like a bad Marx Brothers, Three Stooges. Oh my God, here come the goblins. And you're just like, no.
Yeah, I kept hearing Benny Hill music when I was looking at that. Yeah, I was.
Oh my God.
But I'm going to say this. Maybe this is the kinder, gentler 2025 bad mic here. Or maybe just because my head hurts from smashing my head earlier. But you know what? If that's what they want to do, it's their, whatever. I mean,
that's right.
I still have my Dragonlance, right? Nobody's going to take away.
That's right. You can get all this stuff.
For the Dragonlance trilogy. I've got my calendars. I've got my Elmore in my easily, module covers. I've got several of them slabbed behind my desk at my house. So whatever you want. Look, I am beyond caring what WotC does anymore. They're going to screw this up. They're going to keep. It's almost like it's a deliberate short sale at this point. Like short sales happen because these guys come in, these billionaires come in, they put people on the board of directors and they tell them, you tank this company because I want to buy the stock short. So tank the effing company. At this point, I don't even think that's a conspiracy theory. I'm looking for the tankers because I'm thinking they have got to have people put on the board of directors that are put there to tank this company at this point. So I don't care what they do anymore. Just drive the brand into the ground. But we have the OSR. We have the classic Dragonlance.
And I feel like the folks who love Dragonlance have forever lived in this gentle Dragonlance bubble, right? Like they've lived in this bubble of the leaves from the whatever home, and all is well. And the only thing that's really wrong in their world are Kinder, and I hate Kinder.
Wars, but
what about the gnomes, the Tinker gnomes? Come on,
I don't even care about the gnomes. Kinder offend me more.
Tinker gnomes.
And okay, fine, but these are the people who were happy and they were getting books. And when Weiss and Hickman started to sue WotC, they were like, we're going to go to the walls. We're going to burn it all down. And everybody figured it out how to calm down, right? Mm-hmm. But this is like the Harlequin romance core audience, right? Like you don't screw with the formula and you don't mess it up or they're going to come for you.
This is the
And
tales. This is the middle trilogy of this is Ryan what's his name's tale of the Jedi Jedi movie. Like, wait a second, what did you do? It's supposed to be about Star Wars, not about your personal
that's
psychodrama
right.
going on. This is
That's
supposed to
right.
be Star Wars.
And instead of just like not rocking their world, WotC has decided to rock their world, right? And it's like Dark Sun. You could have done something to Dark Sun, and the 23 people who are emotionally invested in Dark Sun would have been angry, but you could have gotten past that. But Dragonlance, you made the Dragonlance people unhappy.
Yeah, and they could have had
And that's a good point about the Joe Manganiello, because look, I was at GaryCon this year, and Joe was there, and I'm going to tell you, this is no lie, Joe was down in the dumps, and a lot of it
Yes.
was because he had just heard 2 or 3 weeks earlier
Yes.
that the project was a no-go, and Margaret Weiss showed up as a surprise special guest, and to my dying day, I will believe that Joe called her up and told her to show up because they thought they were going to announce the new Dragonlance, and it didn't happen. And so I think Joe was he was not the Joe that I've seen conventions before. He was very subdued, very bummed out. I mean, that was his dream.
right.
Yes.
You basically, and that was a really, really good chance to do Dragonlance and have it done by a fan and have it done right by somebody that loves the setting, that has the chops to pull it off, or that has the connections to pull it off, and you just shit all over the guy.
You wasted it. You smoked it, and you're done. And so again, like I just, it was funny to me. It's not funny to me, right? Like all the TSR worlds have their own tight little communities, and we can say what we want. Like the 2 people who are Birthright, like they get together with the Dark Sun guys every other Thursday, and they sit around and drink a beer.
Sure.
And the Planescape people, right? Like we're like, the Outer Planes, man, and like nobody cares.
Burke.
But the Dragonlance people, these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people who found something, who love something, and so on and so forth. Like I genuinely feel, and I'm sorry, I forgot to make fun of Spelljammer. Well, you people got hosed last year this time, and I can't help you with that. But now, like, look at the comments for the last 10 minutes while we've been talking. Like, literally, the Dragonlance people. All I want to do is be like, "Hey, pal, welcome to the party," right? Like, it finally got through the bubble, and it's been joyous to watch because the internet's sense of humor is timeless and bottomless. And really and truly, some of the memes that have been going around for #Dragonlance are spectacular. And you should definitely avail yourself to go seek these out. They're just wonderful. They're just great. I've spent the entire weekend chuckling through the vaping haze that I was living in. Oh yes.
You said bottomless, and I immediately thought about some of the beaches I was at this weekend. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We'll go to an announcement that actually I initially missed because I thought this project was dead, but apparently it's not.
Oh dear.
Oh, see, I didn't bring it up.
Big news.
I didn't bring it up. You guys, you're gonna hit the trapdoor spider of Jim Kitchen here, and I'm sorry, right? So, okay, let me talk about this because I'm going to vibrate and explode. I'm so excited.
You're gonna give Henry props, right? I mean,
so let me talk about this a couple of ways. So what prompted this? You actually have to go back. A few years ago, there was a guy creating a fan tribute Space Marine series of little vignettes. And after the 3rd or 4th one, it all came to a crashing halt because Gaines Workshop hired that person and pulled them in internally to oversee internal animation projects. This was great. This is where somebody in the community demonstrated that they got it. They absolutely got it. I'm going to try to find this while I'm talking here.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you got to understand that the last person like this in the industry that I can remember, I'm signing into YouTube while we're talking. The last person like this that really like The gods themselves reached down from Mount Olympus and hired. How many of you go back way back in World of Warcraft and remember a video about a blood elf called Blind? The craft of war. The Craft of War, Blind. And it was set to a Japanese J-pop singer's song. And somebody had taken all the textures and everything else, and they made an amazing video. And Blizzard was like, hire them. And they did. And that guy has overseen most of the animations that Blizzard did after they hired him. And a huge success story. So I'm going into my subscriptions here. And so the fellow who was doing the workshop tribute stuff was, sorry, I don't know his name off the top of my head, and I'm sorry, folks. Anyway, they hired him in, and that was sort of the last anybody heard. But what prompted all this week is that a couple of years ago, Amazon reached out to MGM's animation studio, the folks that make Netflix's Death, Love, and Robots. And the principle behind Death, Love, and Robots, Amazon said, we have this giant bag of cash, and we'd like a series of videos. We'd like a short series based on game properties. And so there is an episode on Dungeons and Dragons. So this Tuesday, the first season's first 8 episodes dropped. There's an episode on Dungeons and Dragons. There's an episode of Unreal Tournament. There is the creepiest flipping episode on Pac-Man. I'm not going to spoil it. Turn the lights off and brace yourself. But there is an episode on Warhammer 40,000. Now, having worked for Games Workshop 30 years ago and remembering the promotional video we used to play at Toy Fair and how we watch all of this stuff over the last 30 years, I can't tell you how great the episode "And They Shall Know No Fear" really is. But here's the deal. The episode dropped on Tuesday. Everybody lost their damn minds because the character of Titus from Space Marine 2 is in it. But the person who they hired away to do internal work is listed in the credits, which means he had a hand in this, which is why it's so good. The scene of the Space Marine literally running through a vehicle, causing it to explode, jumping on top of the tank, beheading the guy sticking out of the hatch with a chainsaw, dropping a grenade in, and hopping off, and literally doing a high-speed reload without even missing a beat is the nanoseconds you have to watch. It's just perfect. It's absolutely perfect. But when the video dropped at the same time, Henry Cavill revealed that they're greenlit and they're going forward with the Warhammer 40,000 live action series he's been pushing for and has been in the works, and they used the release of Secret Level to go ahead and let people know this is going forward. What's it going to be? Nobody knows. The guy plays. The guy gets it. He understands the property. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in conversations with people who had no idea how to get their heads around the Warhammer 40,000 intellectual property. Jump in, please.
Well, it's got a very the only thing I worry about is Warhammer 40K has a very dense backstory and a very dense history. It's going to be, and there's obviously going to be some stuff left out, and there'll be some fans upset because no matter what you leave out, look, there's still people salty that Tom Bombadil didn't make it to the Peter Jackson movies. Not me. I didn't like Tom,
right.
But I mean, some people are still salty for that. So some people are going to get salty about it. But look, as long as Henry's there, I have absolute faith in the project, because if there's one thing he's shown over the years, is this man is he's one of us. He's absolutely one of us. And he's a gamer. Yes. And look, he quit The Witcher because The Witcher was getting too much into the things that he didn't believe The Witcher was, because he'd read all The Witcher.
No longer authentic to the character.
No, and so
and so I looked it up. So the YouTube channel was Astartes. And there's only one video now, and it's the video where he says, "See ya, I'm at workshop now." And one of the things that people don't really recognize is that when they launched Primaris Space Marines, right? There's a comment about the good guys are space Nazis. The good guys aren't space Nazis. You know, and first of all, trying to hang the term space Nazis on Warhammer 40,000, that's just not going to work. It's 40,000 years in the future. I could bore all of you to death for why that isn't going to work. But let me just tell you that when they came out with the Primaris Space Marines, this was a big step forward to try to have something that, as you said, Mike, the normies, the people who aren't going to spend all that time reading all of those books and all of that back history. This is something where they're like, see those guys? They don't have horns and are glowing and weird. They're just dudes in power armor shredding them. I can get behind that. And so, yes, the key to making this is you have something the normies can watch, like Fallout, like the Fallout TV show. The Fallout TV show, the detail is there if you really want to be that guy.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
But it's an eminently watchable show that even my stepmom enjoyed. And she was like, this was really good. And she didn't give a shit that like everything was perfect.
And I'm a huge fan. Look, I'm a huge Fallout fan. And look, they left. Obviously, it's not the. They had to leave stuff. You just have to leave stuff out. You can't have anything in there. But I liked it. I thought they did a good job with it because they're doing the best they can with the limitations they have. And you have to realize that. You know, you couldn't put everything into the Middle Earth trilogy. I mean, Peter Jackson, I thought he did an excellent job of saying, look, this is more important than this. This has to be in here, and this has to be here. And I think that's where you get. That's what you have to do. You have to have somebody that's willing to sit there and go, this is what we need to focus on. This is cool. This is great, but it's not the most important thing.
You know, I watched the video, and a friend of mine who is not a Warhammer 40,000 person watched the whole show, right? Watched all 8 episodes of Secret Level. And then I got the questions. And the questions were like, why did they drag a dude around in a coffin? And I'm like, do you want the short explanation or the long explanation? And he was like, is he like psychic? And I said, that's the short explanation. He says, I'm good. And I said, great. Like, you don't need to know anymore. And then later on in the conversation, he was like, but they had riveted a piece of steel over his eyes. And I'm like, yes, they did. And he's like, well, why? And I'm like, I'm not going to explain it. We don't have enough time tonight. And he's like, oh, okay. But it is literally everything you want to see, right? You want to see heroic human beings, and they're not, right? From the very get-go, they're like, if you watch the start of the episode, they're like, we take children and we rip the fear out of them and we turn them into something else, something capable of leveling cities. And you're just like, wow, we went from zero to grimdark just like that. Excellent. Right? And then they introduce you to 4 Space Marines, and these guys are here to kick cultist ass and chew gum, and they're all out of gum. And it's just glorious. It's absolutely glorious.
Well, you know, Games Workshop themselves posted that the final agreement was reached with Amazon, and it's going to include films, television series, and associated merchandising rights. So you can guess what the Amazon store is going to be full of stuff. And Amazon, I'm going to guess they'll branch out into Target and Walmart with this stuff. It's going to be everywhere.
I'm sorry. Here, hold on. Listen, I'm not immune to this stuff. After the Fallout series came out, I made sure to buy me a Lucy cup.
Nice.
Right? Because, I mean, really and truly, I'm a Fallout guy. And they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. And the only way you can do, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll buy the damn mug. I'm not buying the statues, but I will buy the damn mug. And again, you know, the other piece of news that goes along with this is that Games Workshop has now moved to be one of the Financial Times top 100 companies.
Wow.
You can't understand how big a deal this is. Now, if you really want to cry, you should look at what Games Workshop stock issued for when it came out and went public in 1994. You can go look it up yourself. But Games Workshop just paid a big dividend. I own shares in Games Workshop. I've owned shares in Games Workshop for a while. The stock just continues the trajectory. It's bigger. It's got a bigger valuation than the entire British fishing industry. And it's all about little toy soldiers. And that's what we all want, right? When you watch the Dungeons and Dragons episode, it's episode 1. And I think that's the best positioning they could have given it. The Dungeons and Dragons episode of Secret Level is the first episode out of the gate. And it's good. It's really good. You've got a party. There's a great joke. I will not spoil, but there's a great joke towards the end of it where they're like, hey, we finally found our blank. And it ends the way it should end, which is Jesus Christ. That's a big monster. And then we don't get to see the fight. But that's okay. But because it delivers on everything else. And that's what we should see. That's what we should see. So, I'm a big fan of this stuff. I love this. Secret Level is going to be a huge home run. They've said there's at least 100 game-related properties they want to bring to life in the TV show.
Wow.
Yeah.
And okay, right? Think about all the other stuff. Think about all the other games that we've ever played. I started thinking about Might and Magic. I started thinking of, stuff that hasn't been made into a movie that's terrible, like Borderlands. But think of all those great games. Yes. Could we see a Riffs episode?
Ooh.
Oh, I'd love to see a Riffs.
Riffs. I would love to see Archon, the old chess game, turned into some kind of different pieces. That would be, oh man.
Well, all this stuff is just great, and again, the rising tide lifts all of it, right? On Tuesday, when Secret Level launched, the limited Titus miniature was on Games Workshop's homepage, front and flipping center, and that's exactly where it should have been. And the announcement from Henry Cavill is exciting.
Absolutely,
yeah. This is all great stuff. All great stuff. Yeah, Car Wars. There could be a Car Wars movie.
Yeah,
it would have to everything in the episode would have to be made out of paper. Or Ogre. Okay, think about Ogre. There could be the last stand of a GEV against a absolutely hammered Ogre. And I would watch 20 minutes of that because I push those counters around all over the table.
Definitely.
There's just a ton of stuff like this that could be adapted for Secret Level. And it's all from the deepest roots of our hobby. And that's just great. Call of Cthulhu. There could be a Cthulhu episode. And that should boggle the mind. Right? Think about a 20-page treatment of Call of Cthulhu. And when you start to think about it and you start to ponder it, this could be so much fun.
Yeah.
And season 2 and season 3 and think about starting with Dungeons and Dragons was the right step, because then everything else, this is like Yggdrasil. Everything starts and grows out of that. And then where do you go from there?
Yeah, starting with D&D also allows them to go, well, next season we can do Spelljammer. All right. We could do Dark Sun would be so fucking awesome.
Oh, right. Well, and that's one of the things. The Pac-Man episode is just brilliant, and it's brilliant on 100 creepy levels. And I just you got to watch it.
I guess I got to watch the rest tonight.
Yep.
Didn't even realize it was out. Thank you, Jim.
You're very welcome. Lots of other stuff. I had something else on my little list of things. Let's see. Sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know. Go ahead.
Oh, I got nothing.
Oh, nonverbal. The nonverbal holiday. Here we go. So the problem is that we just got out of Thanksgiving and we've recovered from Thanksgiving, but you're immediately slapped in the face a few weeks later with the holidays. And so a few years ago, my deceased father-in-law used to be a guy of few words. And one Christmas, I decided that no matter what he said, I was going to talk less than he did in reply. So if he said nice weather, I would say, yep. And so my suggestion is that if you're stuck this in the holidays around family that for whatever reason you guys don't get along, you can't, you should have a nonverbal holiday where if somebody asks you a question or somebody does something or they bring up something that you don't want to talk about, you should just grunt. And this might help you get through the holidays in a more congenial fashion. Because if you grunt, they can't actually say that you said anything, and you can be like, the nonverbal.
I think you replied.
That's right. Like it's a pro tip. It's a pro life suggestion, right? But try the nonverbal holiday.
I'll tell you one thing that I really enjoy about the holidays now is for years, once you get old enough to where you're not really buying presents, so to speak, for like kids, especially kid stuff, you lose a lot of the magic of the holidays. And so I've been blessed with six grandkids, and it makes the holidays so much more fun having those kids running around. So, and especially when they're, some of them are gamers also. That's awesome. Because then you get to join in all the fun and games and see them enjoy it, which makes you enjoy it even more. Because there's nothing worse than we had a lot of Christmases when it was a bunch of 30 to 40 to 50-year-old people sitting around staring at each other, before we started having kids. And there's nothing worse than that. Sorry, it's just sad, really. once you bring the kids in the mix, and Eric knows this with his niece, and with Jack, when you had Jack, it just becomes so much more fun.
Yep.
And so I'm really blessed to have the grandkids, because that's going to make this holiday season an absolute blast. Watching them have fun with their stuff.
So my kiddo finally gets home from university. Eric, I'm going to send you a picture in our super secret Facebook chat.
Ooh.
And I want to share this because I think it prompts a great discussion. Right? So I've sent the picture. So as a way to get out of the election cycle that was overwhelming me on all different levels, I started following a bunch of AI artists on X. And unfortunately, it means I see a lot of waifu. Like I see a lot of anime girls that I'm just like, And so I backed off of that. But I saw this image this past week, and I actually retweeted it, if we still call it that. And it's pretty striking, and I wanted to sort of talk about this. Now, the name of the illustration is, let me see, I want to make sure I give this full credit. The Legend of Red Rock. And it's by somebody who goes by Revelinai. But very clearly, it's an AI-generated piece of art. But I wanted to talk about this in a couple of ways. The Legend of Red Rock. It's a great idea that there's some sort of horrible Red Rock, or there's bad things at Red Rock, and Red Rock turns out to be like a dragon or some sort of monster or whatever. But yes, it's AI, but this is the quandary I think we are all facing. That's a effing spectacular image.
Yep.
I don't know how it was generated. I don't think the artist, I'm checking his post, it doesn't say how it was generated, which is unfortunate. And I wish that he did sort of talk to a little bit further. I'm going through, he doesn't have any explanation. I don't know what he used to make it. But this is the quandary we face, because that's a spectacular image. 10 years ago, this would have been cover worthy for anything in the RPG industry. 5 years ago, this would have been quality image for the RPG industry. Right now, we're having to wrestle with this. And I think the question is, when is it going to become acceptable? When is it not? But this is the first piece of AI art where I saw it and I thought, this could be the cover of a book. This would be the hell of a cover of it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's just spectacular. And to that person's credit, right? They've got other stuff that they've done that does look a little more artificial and so on. But I'm anxious to see where we get in the overall argument about what is and isn't acceptable, because I hope to one day see things like this, which is a hell of an image, eventually acceptable for use in the RPG industry. And I think when we get there, it's going to really blow things up in an even bigger way. Is it original art by a talented artist using physical medium or using digital medium?
Mm-hmm.
No. But I think the problem is this is all going to have to sort itself out, and we have to see where it eventually leads. And I don't know, but this is the first piece that I actually thought was noteworthy enough to say, okay, where are the roots of this? What artwork did they? I can't see anything discernible to me that's a lift from other people. I had a couple of ideas and I didn't have time to track it and run it down. But I think this is a part of the overall course in the discussion, right? And I don't think it's as simple as just screw AI for ripping off a human artist. I agree with that sentiment, but we have to eventually figure out where we are. You can say it's ripping off copyrighted artwork by a hardworking, underpaid artist. Show me the artist this rips off. Because I spent some time doing reverse image searches and I couldn't find anything.
We probably need to do a whole show one of these days on AI.
Yes, but I think this is part of the discussion.
It's not going away, folks. It's not going away.
Yeah, that's right. And you can say screw AI, screw AI, screw AI, but I got news for you. That genie ain't going back in the box.
Right. I mean, look at WotC. WotC is already pretty much telling you that they are going to feed their own artificial intelligence with not only their words that they own, but the art that they own. So you are going to get AI art that said that it's in the future from WotC, and they're going to tell you, hey, this art is legit because we own the copyright. There is no issue of copyright. We didn't steal anything. This is all based upon us feeding work that we own into an AI program. That's the future. And I think that's going to be the future for many companies. You got publishers that are looking to get rights to work. Actually, with Microsoft, was looking to get rights to work from publishers to feed their own AI. Why? Well, obviously, they want to generate work, probably, I don't know, self-help books or, manuals, and it's going to be written by AI. But if they had the rights to it, if they didn't scrape the internet, that moral quandary isn't the same quandary. And that's why they're looking to license. And they're paying $2,000 for the rights to a book just to scrape it. Just to scrape it.
Yes. And come on, right? Like I'm not pretending that we should get into a long-ranging discussion about this tonight. That's not my point. My point is, this is the first image like this that I've seen where it's worth sharing to have a discussion about. There's no shortage of derivative crap that I see, and I can recognize where it's been derived from and so on and so forth. I've seen no shortage of mecha where I can put on my Gundam hat and I can tell you exactly which models of Gundam they fed into it to lift the images, to tweak it, and so on and so forth. And get off the high horse here, right? Because I'm not saying that this legitimizes its use and so on and so forth. That's not my point here. My point is there's a tide coming, and we can either stand and say, "Yea, verily, tide, you cannot pass," and you're just going to get bowled over. Yeah. But the smart thing to do is figure out how to channel it and funnel it and put it to work for us.
Something's inevitable. You figure out how to, if it's inevitable, which this is pretty much inevitable, you figure out how can I feel comfortable with this, or what can we do to feel comfortable with it. And I think the point you made about making sure it's not scraping the internet, it's just scraping the files that you own is one way. You said, look, this is stuff that I actually own. It can scrape it all at once, but when you scrape the internet, that's tough. That's a rough one because a lot of people didn't consent to have their artwork put in there to be scraped. But it'll be figured out. It's just going to take a while, but it's just not going away, folks. It's just going to be here. And look, it's going to get more and more undetectable. It's going to get more and more widespread. And some people don't even, it's like we're kind of a niche hobby. There's a lot of people out there. When I talk about AI, because I also agree you shouldn't screw artists over. They don't
Come
understand
on.
where AI comes from, and so they don't know that that's even happening. And they'll talk about glowing praise about AI art, how great AI art and allow me to do this, and this. And I'll say, well, you got to realize, for AI art, it basically puts real artists out of business and steals their work. And they're like, what? And they don't know the origins of it. So
That's right. And I had a great conversation. I've got to make sure I'm good on time here. I had a great conversation with Doug Kovacs one time. And Doug Kovacs talked about when somebody copies an illustration, because this was right when San Julian had been sort of found out for what San Julian does with almost every piece of artwork that San Julian executes. San Julian uses photo references. San Julian uses other people's art as references and then paints them into his own works. And so when this came up during Bride of the Devil Lich or whatever it is, it's then the discussion of when is it copying, when is it art? And Doug had a very, very well articulated position about this, which is art itself, like, copies other art.
Mhm.
And art has been doing this as long as art exists, right? The very first illustrations that cavemen drew on the walls in France were of real life objects that they were familiar with, and then they made artistic representations of this. When we take photographs and we use those photographs as references for what we want to paint or draw or whatnot, it's when is it copying, when is it not? I have very famously spoken about Lawrence Allen Williams taking rice paper and putting it on the TV screen and pausing when he was watching Baywatch to draw all of the jihad cards that he did. Wish he hadn't done it, but once you knew which episodes of Baywatch he was watching, you could pretty much spot the characters and say, oh, that's Eric Olenek, and so on and so forth. AI art is a thorny, ugly thing, but we are a very, very small industry.
Mm-hmm.
In the grand scheme of things, we are a small industry. Games Workshop used to be all original art, and then they discovered digital artists, and that's where things exploded. And we now have images that are coming out of electronic artists who have never, ever done anything in any sort of physical real media.
Right.
And so I can tell you, watching these people post on the internet, there are 2 or 3 artists where they're going in and their prompts, it's not a 1-sentence prompt, i.e. go make something in the style of Earl Otis with a barbarian woman holding a sword. It's not that short. I saw a guy who put his prompt up for what he had generated, and it was literally a page and a half of information. And he has to tweak that to get what he wants. And even then, after it creates an image, he goes into the image and he changes things in the image. Don't pull the image back up, Eric. But if you looked at it closely, you can see there's actually a defining scar on the monster's head. And that's not something that was generated. Excuse me. It may have been generated by a prompt, but truthfully, it looks more like somebody went in and actually did that.
Right.
And that's where we don't know where all of this is. And you can say they're not artists, but they're generating artwork that's gaining traction. They're generating things that people are talking about, and it's only a matter of time, right? Like, I love Stanley Lau. I think Art Germ is one of the most amazing artists that's come along in a long, 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 long time. And guess what? Most of Stanley's stuff has been done digitally. He doesn't, he mostly does remarks and so on physically, but Stanley's home run 90% of his published work has all been generated electronically. And so I think we're not here for a long, long, long discussion about it tonight. But this is, again, the first image that I saw where I was struck by the quality, the subject, the context, and everything else. And I think it's a great example of what can AI do right, but we haven't got the answers about how we want to use it yet. And I hear the artistic community. I hear the pushback. I understand the pushback. I agree with the pushback. I think it should be illegal to scrape somebody's lifelong work. Michael Whalen is pulling his hair out over this problem right now because he's got 60 years worth of work, almost 60 years worth of work. I'm sorry, 50 years worth of work, and they're feeding it into the machines as fast as they can upload it, and that's not cool.
No,
but we got other stuff coming, and it isn't going to stop. So.
No, it's like I said, we'll do a show on it eventually because it is a very interesting and thorny problem to have to deal with. Because for every impassioned artist that says, this is stealing, you have another person over here saying, well, I can't afford art, and I can do this, and this works and it looks great, so I'm just going to do this. Sorry guys, and it's just it's just an impasse in the way people think about it, and there's not much you can do about that. So it's gonna be interesting. Be very interesting to see what happens. Speaking of interesting, Eric, you said a little interesting list of so we've gotten away a little bit from what we usually do, which is for a long time we have special guests. We'll have a special guest and somebody with a Kickstarter or somebody we know. We'll talk about stuff, but we've been doing our own thing for the past month or so because. End
of the year.
A lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Not that we're lazy. That's one of the reasons. Yes, we are lazy. But no, we just have. It just hasn't. We'd like to have things develop organically, but we have our lineup in January and beyond is ridiculous. We're going to have an incredible lineup of special guests starting in January. So,
so you want me to lead?
Yeah, why don't you throw some names out there to get everybody all excited there, so they can.
Okay, Bill Webb.
Heard of him.
Our OSR Pixie and Tom Wham.
Oh my gosh, the OSR Pixie and Tom. Okay, yeah, okay, I'm there for that one.
And Tom's business partner. I forget the guy's name. Sorry.
Dave Conant?
Dave, yes. There you go. Thank you. James Spahn.
Oh, that guy. I hate him. Hate him.
Spahn.
Hate him.
And I think somebody who was in the chat is going to be on it at some point.
Do we have a Kurt Gould schedule?
Would that sound like? Would it rhyme with Kurt Gould? Because I think it rhymes with Kurt Gould.
I remember, guys. I remember somebody promising us that when he didn't work for WotC, that he would come on our show and dish. And we would have tea spilled all over the place. So yeah, we need that Kurt. But for nothing else, look, this is a guy that worked for WotC for 25 years. I can't wait to hear some of his stories. He's got.
Oh yeah,
my God, they're going to be epic.
Oh, we may go 3 hours that night because Kurt Gould stories are the best.
Now, just a little timekeeping. We have one show left for the year because the 25th is Christmas in 2 weeks.
Ho, ho, ho.
I don't think you're going to find it. I would probably be looking at being excommunicated from my family if I was on this channel. We will probably have a show on the 1st, I would assuming we can.
Oh, yeah, why not?
Yeah. Because it's not like we're going to be out partying.
Yeah, the night before. Actually, I'll be doing a live stream with Rach on New Year's Eve. So
fun. Okay, cool.
That'll be a fun time too. But so we're going to be wrapping up next week. Now, on the blog side, OSR Christmas will be kicking off this weekend. Restream does not have a feature where I can do a giveaway. So unless I can figure out an alternate way, if you're going to want to get your OSR Christmas gifting, you're going to have to go to tenkarstavern.com and enter. We've got some very generous gifts this year.
Oh, yes.
Frog God Games is throwing in like a $200 gift credit to the Frog God store. Yes. Our very own Mr. Fat Dragon himself is giving up some 3D printing sets, 12 in total, one per day for the 12 days of OSR Christmas. I'm just going off the top of my head. I should probably look at the list. I know Joe Block is kicking in PDFs of the as yet not released to the public Adventures Dark and Deep 2nd edition core books. $200 in Frog God store credit, 2 OSR holiday bundles in PDF, including How Orcas Stole Christmas, one of my favorite James Bond adventures whatsoever.
That guy again. Ugh.
That guy.
Mm.
Jeff Talanian, Hyperborea fame, $125 worth of Hyperborea PDFs. You pick. I just whoever gets that prize, I pass it on to Jeff. I'm tossing in one $50 and 12 $10 drive-through gift certificate.
Oh, nice.
Go to the blog. I also might do a giveaway or two via the Substack for Tenkar's Tavern.
By the way, Jen Glazer can't win any of this, right? She's
right.
banned from winning anything.
Jen is actually the one that from Prague got that messaged me and told me what the goodies were.
Okay.
So we have another maybe one or two companies that still haven't finalized what they're throwing in, but it's a very generous OSR Christmas. We've been doing this now for over a decade, and the generosity of this community never ceases to amaze me. And I've learned, I tell you, not to be the central repository for any of this shit. Mm-hmm. I don't ship anything because that takes months to happen.
It does. Yes, it does.
So that's the news update, I guess.
It's gonna be great, man. January's gonna be great.
Yeah.
As the kids say, off the chain.
Off the chain.
Off the hook. Even off the hook.
Damn. That's all insane. So, Mike, thank you for dropping in and spending time with us during
I'm glad I could make it.
Your long drive home.
No, I'm glad if I'd have driven. If we'd have continued driven home, I couldn't have made the show at all tonight, or I would have done it while I was driving, which would have been very dangerous. So, probably best that we stop for the evening in a hotel.
Like it stopped you.
Yeah.
Chris, Tom's already being very generous. I'm not going to ask him to spend $1,000 on whatever it is that the Zach is giving away. Jim, anything else that we missed?
Nah, I've said enough tonight.
We did it. We hit it.
Well, again, thank you to Jeff and all the other gifters. The generosity is just huge from this community. So, again, thank you, publishers. Give them your business. Thank you to Jim. Thank you to Mike. Thank you to everybody that's on here. Really, you make us. You make us. I don't want to say better, but you make us have a great show. So, on that note, catch you all later.